Let's see, where's this from? What do I have? DailyCaller.com. Here's the headline. Ladies and gentlemen, top Christie donors told to head to Trenton. Top Christie donors told to head to Trenton. Speculation mounting over a possible presidential run for Chris Christie. A reliable source emailed a reporter at the Daily Caller that big potential donors to Christie have been told to prepare to go to Trenton Thursday to stand on stage with him for the announcement if he decides to run. He's not yet decided, but they've sent out the call for donors. Greetings, my friends. Great to have you here. Rush Limbaugh, a brand new week of broadcast excellence, coming to you live and direct from the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies, or Ideological Purity, as it's also called. Who gathers their donors to stand beside them on a stage announcing? Many people try to hide their. What you do is you gather your supporters. Mr. Limbaugh, don't you know that donors can also be supported? Yes, of course, donors are supporters by definition, but normally you don't put them on stage up there with you. I don't know. It's still undecided out there, but donors. He's gathering his donors for a possible announcement. I think it's just a little strange. You gather your supporters. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a story here. AP? How did it get this bad on Capitol Hill? Why does Congress barely function today? You know, there was a story last week in the USA Today. There's a front page story in their A section. I call the USA Today McNews. But they had this long story, which is unusual for USA Today. Most of their stories are a couple paragraphs, reading level IQ of a fifth grader. But this was actually like 10 or 12 paragraphs. It was a long story for USA Today, and it was all about and it was by Susan Page. What can we do to stop this horrible gridlock? What can we do? And it was just horrible, and they didn't know what we could do. And they had to somebody, I didn't read the whole thing, but it was about, it was a three-pronged plan. The AP story just is quite direct. You have to stick with it for a while to get to what AP thinks is the reason why it's so bad on Capitol Hill. Why does Congress barely function today? The legislative branch of the world's most powerful nation, now widely scorned as it lurches from one near catastrophe to the next, even on supposedly routine matters, such as setting an annual budget and keeping government offices open. Well, it's the Democrats that have not presented a budget in over 2 years. Somehow that never gets mentioned in this story. What they claim is the problem is this: at the core of this gridlock is a steadily growing partisanship. Couple that with a rising distaste for compromise by avid voters. Unswerving conservatives and liberals dominate the two parties' nominating processes, electing lawmakers who pledge never to stray from their ideologies. So instead of a two-party system, American government has become a battle between warring tribes, says Mickey Edwards, a former Republican congressman from Oklahoma, who may as well be a Democrat, who has taught at several universities. You keep reading. If you stick with this to the second page, you encounter this. The media world has been reshaped by a decline in traditional straight news outlets and the rise of opinionated blogs, cable TV shows, and talk radio. Republicans, quote, live in mortal fear of Rush Limbaugh outing anyone, close quote, for being insufficiently conservative, said Representative David Price, Democrat, North Carolina, former Duke University political science professor, which means he's socialist. Representative Jim Cooper, Democrat, Tennessee, one of several essays on Congress's decline, writes that Fox and MSNBC, certainly inflamed partisanship, are to blame, and social media has popularized non-fact-based reality. So there you have it. Republicans live in mortal fear of me. outing anyone for being insufficiently conservative. And that just, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. You stick with this stuff long enough and you eventually do get to the truth. And you know how it ticks off AP? They want this kind of power. That's the reason I write in this. AP jealous. They want this kind of, they want people to live in mortal fear of what AP is going to say about them. Which people used to have mortal fear. Who am I going to out today? Well, I'm going to out a lot of stuff today. Somebody is going to have to put the brakes on this out-of-control misrepresentation of the booing that went on at the last Republican debate, ostensibly aimed at a gay soldier. That booing was not, and Obama's trying to capitalize this. He was at the Human Rights Dinner, gay, lesbian, transsexual bunch dinner on Saturday night, trying to make big hay out of this. And there were 2 or 3 people booing. We got the soundbite coming up. There were 2 or 3 people booing, and they were not booing a gay soldier. They were booing his question. And now Herman Cain has jumped on this. You know what? I should have really ripped into my colleagues on stage for ignoring this. And Cain's also, what else is he saying? Oh yeah, this is. I'm gonna tell you, this is really disappointing to me because Herman Cain. I liked Herman Cain. The Washington Post has it as a macaca story about Rick Perry. Apparently, back when Rick Perry was a Democrat, there's this woman at the Washington Post who's written a story with traditional journalism. It wouldn't even pass the first review by an editor. But apparently, back when Perry in the 80s was a Democrat, he and his dad would go hunting at some place, and there was a rock that had the N-word on it that somebody had painted over. Somebody had painted over. The Perrys didn't like it, and they turned the rock over so nobody could see it. I'm giving you the short Cliff Notes version here. And when they what? Yeah, when they started leasing it themselves, they painted it over, and then they turned the rock over. They didn't like the word, the N-word, something about this whole place. And now they were trying to write a story here that the Perrys loved going to the place because it did use the N-word. It's 180 degrees out of phase. They're trying to say that Perrys are racist, and Herman Cain has jumped in and basically joined that chorus. And this is absurd. It is absurd. They painted over it. They tried to, when they leased it, they tried to paint over it and cover it up, and then they eventually turned it over so that people wouldn't see. They were. And I think Perry, back when this happened in the 80s, was a Democrat. And I just, it's fascinating. This is, I told you last week, 2 weeks ago, that I had a revelation. For 23 years, I've been entertaining calls from frustrated members of this audience. Rush, why don't the Republicans say X? Rush, why don't the Republicans do that? Rush, how come the Republicans always do that? Why don't they? What? And I've always said, here, why are you asking me? I can't explain it. I don't know. But I finally came up with as good an explanation as there is out there, and that is, they still view the mainstream media as the primary group they have to convince that they are legitimate. They still think it's the mainstream media that they have to get their message out through. And this is evidence of what I mean. So here you have the Washington Post with an unsupported non-story. And here comes Herman Cain piggybacking on it, trying to capitalize on it. Essentially letting the mainstream media, in this case the Washington Post, set the narrative. It's exactly what I mean. There's this, I don't know whether you call it a fear or just a mistaken belief that the power in media still exclusively resides in the mainstream media, and it's those people that you have to get on your side, those people you have to use to get your message out, or what have you, and so that leads to pandering to them. Kane is doing it in this case. The Republican leadership, both the House and Senate, renowned for doing it throughout all of our lives. Even some Republican presidents have done so. There are no on-the-record sources for this. Kane's out there saying that that Perry's rock stuff was insensitive. Perry and his dad tried to cover it up. And Herman Cain's out there saying that Perry's insensitive. There are no on-the-record sources in the Washington Post for this story. It is. You remember Macaca? They got George Allen out of the presidential race, senator from Virginia, by claiming that he uttered some racial epithet, insult, with called some traveling Democrat troublemaker, Macaca. And it's a good thing The Rock didn't say Hymietown. Yeah, or white interloper. I mean, well, the Reverend Jackson has famously referred to New York City as Hymietown, and Reverend Sharpton has been on the record berating white interlopers in Harlem. So it's just, and it's insulting to everybody's intelligence. It is part of the Democrat Party media template or playbook from 30, 40 years ago. It's a stretch. It's a grasp. It is certainly no substance to it, and there was no reason for Herman Cain to try to piggyback this. Nobody on the record will say that they saw the word on the rock after 1983. Nobody will even say on the record that they saw it, and yet we've got this big story here about it. I don't remember the Washington Post turning over any rocks when Obama was running for office. In fact, stick with me. I got an idea. Do something. We come back from the timeout. Don't go away here, folks. We'll be right back.
The most powerful name in talk radio, Rush, on the EIB network.
I want my Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier? 1-800-282-2885. How you gonna make it past the call screen if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you.
What's that medal for?
This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans think that illegals should head back home. We used to think so too, till we realized illegals could pay 21% interest on their credit cards, just like the gringos. Introducing the all-new Bank of Amigo card. The Bank of Amigo card is the best friend an undocumented worker ever had. Packed with special features like bonus points for every day you're in our country. Good towards health care, border crossings, college education, fake IDs, and so much more. And the Bank of Amigo card is the only card endorsed by Senator John McCain.
If you need cash and can't wait till mañana, then the Bank of Amigo card is for you. Plus, the more you owe, the less likely you are to be deported.
There's no immigration check, no social security number required. Just sign your name, or anybody else's, on the dotted line.
Caramba, it's easier than sneaking in. Thanks, Bank of Amigo.
The Bank of Amigo card, because when it comes to money, we're all amigos.
The Washington Post will not even publish a photograph of the rock at Perry's hunting spot. They say it's a year-old photograph they claim to have seen, that even after having been brushed clean of dirt, only the N and 2 G's were faintly visible. So why would the word have been more visible years ago when the paint was fresher? And where are these old photos? Why don't they publish them? Wouldn't they help support the story the Washington Post is trying to do here? Is that why they couldn't be printed? Or are they just too inflammatory? Maybe the photographer is afraid for his life. This is such an obvious smear, even by the Washington Post's standards. Worst kind of, this is McCarthyism, Charlie McCarthyism. It is an absolute joke. You know, it's hilarious. The Washington Post interviewed more than 24 people for their rock story, and not a one of them would go on the record to disagree with Rick Perry's timeline. The Post says they're afraid for their lives. Anyway, the whole thing is a setup. It's so obviously and patently absurd. And this is all they've got. This is all they've got to defend the one. They can't defend him. They can't defend his economy. They can't defend his policies. They can't defend him personally. Nope. They got to run out and try to personally destroy Obama's potential opponents. We all knew this. It's just happening, and it's happening early, and is an indication of the weakness of the Democrat Party and their state-controlled media position. Now, I want to go to this Republican debate, September 22nd, Orlando. Here is the gay Army soldier, his name's Stephen Hill, asking former Senator Rick Santorum the big question.
In 2010, when I was deployed to Iraq, I had to lie about who I was because I'm a gay soldier, and I didn't want to lose my job. My question is, under one of your presidencies, do you intend to circumvent the progress that's been made for gay and lesbian soldiers in the military?
Okay, what is a one or two boos? They're booing his question. If they were going to boo him, they would have booed him earlier when he identified himself as a gay soldier. They were not booing a gay soldier. I know it sounded like two people. We don't know who these two people are. We don't know anything about them. So in addition to the Washington Post trying to make hay out of a non-existent story involving a deteriorated rock at a hunting camp in Texas, Now we're treated to them trying to keep something alive that happened to the Republican debate September 22nd. A gay soldier gets up, asks a question that takes, 19 seconds. And there are a couple of people booing. Listen to this one more time and listen and see if you hear any boos when he identifies himself as a gay soldier.
In 2010, when I was deployed to Iraq, I had to lie about who I was because I'm a gay soldier, and I didn't want to lose my job.
Stop tape. Any boos? Anybody heard any boos yet? No. Just identified himself as a gay soldier. A bunch of racist, sexist, bigoted homophobes supposedly in the audience, and not one boo when the soldier identifies himself as gay.
Your presidencies, do you intend to circumvent the progress that's been made for gay and lesbian soldiers in the military?
What is it, one or two people? One or two people. And now Herman Cain has joined this. Herman Cain saying, I should have defended that gay soldier, booed during the GOP debate. So what is it about the lead that some people cannot handle? Cain ends up being launched into the top tier as a result of his performance in this debate. And now his whole demeanor changed. Now he's got to weigh in on all this stuff. Act like he thinks he's reached the top tier. Now he has to act like what he thinks a top-tier candidate would do. But that is really misreading this. Now, here's Matt DeLong, the Washington Post. Obama blasts Republican candidates for failing to defend gay soldier. Speaking at an event hosted by prominent gay advocacy group, President Obama Saturday night chastised his Republican presidential rivals for failing to speak up when some members of the audience at a debate last month booed a gay soldier. Okay, I read that, no comment. I'm going to read it again with comment. Speaking at an event hosted by a prominent gay advocacy group, President Obama Saturday night chastised his GOP presidential rivals for failing to speak up when some members of the audience at a debate last month booed a gay soldier. After 20 years of listening to the rantings of his reverend right and failing to defend his country,
Barack knows what it means to be a black man living in a country and a culture that is controlled by rich white people. Hillary ain't never been called a nigger. Bill did us just like he did Monica Lewinsky. He was riding dirty. In white America, U.S. of KKKA, black men turning on black men. I am sick of Negroes who just do not get it. Not God bless America, God America that's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God America. And now we are indignant because the stuff we have done overseas is now brought right back into our own front yards. America's chickens are coming home to roost.
So Obama goes out and milks the gays for this boo at the Republican debate, and yet he sat in that man's pew for 20 years.
The future Limbaugh wing of the Museum of Broadcasting.
We're looking forward to putting it all together, and we hope to be able to do this, folks, without one dime of fundraising.
The Limbaugh wing of the Museum of Broadcasting will be a delight for all your senses.
There will be film strips, there will be theaters, there will be opportunities for people to gaze their eyes on the meaning of this program, not just use their ears.
Get to know some of the little people behind the scenes.
Pictures of the staff who contributed in the small way they did to the success of the program.
Special presentations for industry insiders.
So we're going to tell the business secrets of this program and how it revolutionized radio in a business sense.
The future Limbaugh wing of the Museum of Broadcasting. Educational.
It will be a compilation of all the great knowledge that has been disseminated by this program to a starved mass, which has been previously deprived of this great information by virtue of the direction that the public education system has taken.
Don't forget to visit the Rogues Gallery.
By the time we open the museum, we'll have a picture of the remaining liberals on college campuses. There'll be a list of Democrat politicians whose careers ended during the course of this program.
In this mecca for future historians and broadcasters, you will find everything Limbaugh.
But we will have tapes of programs. We will have highlights and examples of why this program was so successful. My plaque is an honorary member of the freshman freshman class, U.S. House of Representatives, 1994. The golden EIB microphones will be there. Models of EIB 1. Virtually anything and everything, and the public will be clamoring to see all of these things.
Old and young will be awed by the Limbaugh legacy.
Well, it'll be a very learning experience, especially for America's children.
The Limbaugh wing of the Museum of Broadcasting. Today, it's a dream, but when his work is done, it will become a reality. And now, America's newest all-night sensation,
Tom Daschle,
Coast to Coast.
Hi, and welcome to Late Night Coast to Coast with Tom Daschle, where anything paranormal, delusional, even extraterrestrial can happen. We have a call on our Texas line. Hi, Bill. What's on your mind?
This is Bill Burkett, secret source for CBS. You're not going to believe this.
We believe everybody, Bill. And we send emails with your thoughts and concerns to the network news guys.
Well, George W. Bush made me vote for him through a kind of mind control.
Really?
Yeah, my finger's still purple. He kept an alien when he was in the Guard, but I never thought he'd stoop to this.
Wow. Just another piece of the vast election conspiracy puzzle. Oh, a first-time caller. Teresa in Paris. What's on your mind?
Laura Bush was the mastermind to keep John Kerry out of the White House just because of my plan to repaint it a bright coral red.
Another eyewitness to a plot of deception. Up next, a voice from beyond. Yes, Richard?
Tom, I lost the presidency in 1960. I picked myself up and won in 1968.
Oh, so John Kerry should run again?
No,
Thank you for those words of encouragement. Louis from the mothership.
Tom, did you know that the space wheel time continuum clearly shows that you and your callers are absolutely crazy? Crazy Fruit Loops from the leftward land of silliness. I couldn't even make this stuff up.
Well, the Tribal Radio Network fanfare says it's time to go.
Tom Daschle,
Coast to Coast. Stay tuned for the Prostate Awareness Hour live from Del Rio, Texas on the Tribal Radio Network.
On the cutting edge of societal evolution, Rush Limbaugh having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. So here's Barack Obama. By the way, Andrew Breitbart, BigGovernment.com, is reporting he's got new pictures, new photographs obtained exclusively by his website, BigGovernment.com, revealing that Obama appeared with and marched with members of the new Black Panther Party as he campaigned for president in 2007, or March of 2007. Now, fine and dandy. President, as a candidate, march with whoever he wants. He sits in Reverend Wright's church for 20 years while Wright is spouting utter, vile hatred for this country. Obama said, I didn't hear it. I was there, but I didn't hear it. Moochell didn't hear it. Our kids didn't hear it. Oh, nobody heard it. Everybody's heard it except Obama. So you have this event at the Republican debate, which has been totally misrepresented and is being lied about by the media. Two people in the audience were not booing a gay soldier. They were booing a question they asked. Obama knowingly lies about this. Goes to a human rights dinner on Saturday at a human rights group, which is a gay lesbian organization. He milks them for all that they're worth, fundraising and this and that and the other thing, then perpetuates the lie. And yet, here he is, soaking up Reverend Wright's hatred for 20 years, marching with the new Black Panther Party in 2007. And somehow a couple of people at a Republican debate booing a question becomes all news. Of course it's all newsworthy because Obama right now is landslidable. Obama right now is in deep doo-doo. in terms of his reelection chances. Internal White House polling is disastrous. If you know who to listen to and you know how to listen to what they say, top Democrats are even admitting this. Let's listen to a little more of Obama on Saturday night, the Human Rights Campaign dinner. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, a couple of sound bites. Here's the first of two.
We don't believe in a small America. We don't believe in the kind of smallness that says it's okay for a stage full of political leaders, one of whom could end up being the President of the United States, being silent when an American soldier is booed. We don't believe in that. We don't believe in standing silent when that happens. We don't believe in them being silent cents. You want to be commander-in-chief? You can start by standing up for the men and women who wear the uniform of the United States, even when it's not politically convenient.
Holy cow! This became the standard line. America, Republicans believe in a small America. That became a standard line at that fundraiser stump speech. And if there is anybody who believes in a small America, it's Obama. If there's anybody who's presiding over one, it's Obama. Obama happily presiding over an America in decline. But anyway, you see how this non-event from that Republican debate is being jacked up here into something that it wasn't. And I have to laugh. Obama, start by standing up for the men and women who wear the uniform of the United States. Oh, you're the standard bearer for that, Mr. President? You're the guy who stands up for the men and women in uniform. You and your Democrats, you love those people, right? You know, Obama wants a big tent. Pro-life Democrats not even allowed to speak at their conventions. He wants a big tent. He's talking about all these people who must be involved. We've got to accept all these different ways that people speak and different ways that they live and so forth. This is the most restrictive bunch of people, the Democrat Party, that purports to be something else I've ever seen. Here's the next bite.
We don't believe in a small America. We believe in a big America, a tolerant America, a just America, an equal America that values the service of every patriot. We believe in America where we're all in it together, and we see the good in one another. And we live up to a creed that is as old as our founding, e pluribus unum, out of many one, and that includes everybody. That's what we believe. That's what we're going to be fighting for.
Whoa, listen to this. It finally comes filled with energy at this place. Again, this is at the Human Rights Campaign dinner. It's an association of gay, lesbians, and transgender people. It was in Washington, D.C. on Saturday night. So, big America, tolerant America, where pro-lifers are not allowed to speak at the Democrat National Convention. An equal America. This is the party that considers conservatives and Tea Party members to pose a greater threat to them than terrorism and terrorists around the world. Where's Obama's tolerance of rich people? Where's Obama's tolerance of successful people? Where is Obama's tolerance of those who achieve great things? Where's Obama's tolerance of the Tea Party? Was it Obama who described and defined for us the bitter clingers? Basically you, people that cling to your guns and your religion, when people like Obama get power and start taking everything away from you. Yep, the tolerant Democrats, they are the ones. Here's Herman Cain. This is yesterday on This Week. ABC's This Week with Christiana Amanpour. She interviewed Herman Cain. She played that soundbite that we've been playing for you this morning from the debate. And then she said, in retrospect, Mr. Cain, would you have done something given the controversy that it's created here?
In retrospect, because of the controversy it has created and because of the different interpretations that it could have had, yes, that would have been appropriate. But at the moment, it was not the focus of the people up there on that stage, I can assure you.
Yeah, but Yeah, I should have defended the gay soldier. The gay soldier wasn't booed. Mr. Kane, why do you think nobody on stage came to the defense of the gay soldier? The gay soldier wasn't booed. The gay soldier wasn't attacked. The gay soldier was not put upon. That's why you didn't come to his defense. I guarantee, Mr. Kane and the rest of the Republicans on that stage, if that audience had really attacked anybody who asked the question, knowing how well politicians pander, there would have been a race to defend the poor questioner, whoever it might have been who was attacked. But this guy wasn't attacked. He wasn't booed. His question was booed. And Obama tried to make hay out of this through his entire Saturday night appearance at the human rights dinner. Even Bret Baier, this is last Monday, Fox News radio Kilmeade and Friends. Brian Kilmeade has got a radio show on the Fox network and spoke with the 6 o'clock TV show anchor Bret Baier, who was the moderator at the debate where this supposed affront to the gay soldier took place. And here's what Bret Baier said about it.
The audience was, I think, 5,500 maybe. Huge audience. And the boos on that gay soldier, I would say there may have been 2 people, maybe 3, out of 5,500. Now, it was loud, it was audible, it was a cavernous facility, the Orange County Convention Center. But it would be painting with a broad brush to say that this crowd booed the gay soldier.
Yeah, they didn't boo the gay soldier. I still submit to you that had they booed the gay soldier, Herman Cain would have piped up. And so would all the other candidates. But he identified himself as a gay soldier and kept talking, and there were no boos. They were just booing his question. Pure and simple. Got to take a break. We'll be back. Might even get to some of your phone calls in this hour. We'll find out soon.
America's beacon of freedom. Rush on the EIB network.
I want my Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screen if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
Okay, I don't want to belabor this, but I do want to make the point, and I'll tell you why. Back in the old days, before there was any new media, you have to go back just to Fox started in 97. 97, maybe later than that. Somewhere in there. You realize in 1988, when I started this program, I was it in terms of national conservative broadcast media. You had ABC, CBS, NBC, the two newspapers, the magazines, and CNN. And it was that way through the mid-90s. Then other nationally syndicated radio shows began. 96, Fox News launched in 1996. So for the first 8 years of this program, I was what sufficed as equal time. And that's when this roller coaster, or the seesaw, began to switch. That's when their monopoly ended. Back in the old days, if this were 1980, if this were 1993, folks, aside from this show, Obama would be getting away with making this country think that Republicans at a debate booed homosexuality. He would get away with it. He's not going to get away with it this time. There is an entire alternative media that is going to see to it that a majority of Americans understand exactly what happened. Now, whereas I say the Republican leadership and too many Republican candidates still think that the only way they can get their point across, the only way they can get their point of view aired is through the mainstream media. The Democrats are the same way, but for them it makes sense because they own the media. The Democrats and the media are the same thing. So they continue to use the mainstream media. What they fail to realize or take into account is that it isn't a monopoly anymore, and it doesn't enable them to establish public opinion issue by issue by issue. Everything's a battle for them now in establishing public opinion, and they don't like it. That's why you get an AP story blaming me for congressional gridlock. That's why, here, listen to this. Grab soundbite number 7. Yesterday, before Face the Nation, Bob Schieffer for some of the big markets will go on half hour early on a local affiliate to promo what's coming on Face the Nation. And he did that for CBS 2 Eyeball News in New York yesterday. They had their Eyeball News TV show before Face the Nation. So Schieffer appeared on it with the anchor of that show, Don Dollar, D-A-L-E-R. And Don Dollar, talking to Schieffer to promote Face the Nation, said, "So, Chris Christie, got to be the talk of Washington this week, eh, Bob?"
Rush Limbaugh has already started in on Chris Christie, as maybe he said early this week, I'm hearing a lot of John McCain in that. So that's what we're going to be talking about this morning on Face the Nation.
Yeah. Why are they talking about me? Because they no longer have a monopoly. No longer have a monopoly. So here's Obama trying to make hay out of this. Let me ask a couple questions here. Let's start a little brush fire in our own media. When citizens were called racists by the Congressional Black Caucasians, Obama was silent. You remember during their march to Washington, the Capitol building during healthcare, Obamacare? Here's Pelosi carrying a giant gavel. You got John Lewis marching next to her and say they make up this story about being spat upon and the N-word being used. So the Congressional Black Caucasians were calling American citizens, Tea Party people, racists. Obama was silent. He didn't say anything. He didn't care. He didn't go to a Tea Party event and make a speech about how we all stop calling each other names. We all ought to just get along and accept our differences. When citizens were said to want to hang black people from a tree. That happened the last couple of weeks. Obama was silent. Some member of the Congressional Black Caucasian said, yep, the Tea Party had its way to be hanging black people from trees. What Obama's? He didn't say anything. He didn't go out to a Tea Party and make a speech trying to curry their favor. Say, I think it's unforgivable what people are saying about you. When James Hoffa Jr. referred to the Tea Party and other Republicans as sons of bitches, not only was Obama not silent, he probably smiled because Hoffa got the line right. So Obama probably wrote it. And how about Obama trying to make everybody think he cares about the media in the first place? Mr. President, if you and your party care so much about the military, will you promise to count their absentee ballots this coming election? Remember in the Florida recount back in 2000, how they tried to disqualify absentee military ballots? Yeah. Grab a call, as I promised. Marilyn in Columbus, Indiana. Hi, and welcome to the EIB Network. Great to have you on the program.
Thank you. Hi, Rush. Great to talk to you.
Thanks very much.
I'm calling about Herman Cain. I did see him on Chris Wallace, and he said, if what you're saying is true, it's unfortunate. But he did not go for it completely. He was just saying, because he hadn't had time to check it out, he said, if what you're saying is true.
All right,
it's
look,
unfortunate.
Grab audio soundbite number 5. I'm not. May sound like I'm trying to pick on Herman Cain. I've actually got something larger in mind. Here's Herman Cain on This Week with Christiane Amanpour. In retrospect, would you have done something given the controversy?
In retrospect, because of the controversy it has created and because of the different interpretations that it could have had, yes, that would have been appropriate. But at the moment, it was not the focus of the people up there on that stage, I can assure you.
So you said, look, I'm not trying to nitpick here.
No, that's about the gay soldier.
That's about the gay soldier, that's right.
Right. I'm calling about the remark about the end on the road.
Well, that wasn't specified up there. If still, it's Herman Cain has got to know it's BS. It's the Washington Post. It's a campaign. He's got to know it's BS. Intellectually, I mean, he's got to know that. But I think partially in that case, I think what happens is when you think you're in the top tier, now it changes the way you act. Yes, of course I will condemn that. Of course I'm looking down on everyone else now because of course I would condemn that. It's just human nature, I suppose.
Rush Limbaugh. First to speak out for America on the EIB Network.
I want my Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
American parents in certain places in this country are being charged with felonies and threatened with jail time for sending their children to better schools. It is in the Wall Street Journal. It's coming right up when we get back from the top of the hour news break. Sit tight. We will be back before you know it. Don't miss this.
New from Class Envy Productions, the people who brought you Obamacare, Cleopatra Obama, and Barry's got a brand new stash. An all-new exploitation picture starring Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, and a cast of millions and millions of unemployed Americans who all got the shaft.
Members of Congress and my fellow Americans, while on vacation, working on my new jobs plan, I realize there are steps we can take right now to improve people's lives. But I want to continue to build roads and bridges, protect union jobs, and pay people to sit at home for another year. And every proposal I've laid out will be paid for by our children. There is the man who never had any other plan except the... Shut! Damn right. He's the cat who won't slow down when the country's going south. From the... Shut! Can you dig it? You see, this cat Barry is one dumb mother.
Shut your mouth.
I'm just talking about Obama.
Oh, okay.
He's not a complicated man, but nobody understands him but his woman.
Michelle.
Barack! Barack!
You didn't eat the apples in your Happy Meal,
but I don't want to.
The Shaft, now playing in an economy near you.
You're damn right. Good jobs. Good. I hear someone saying, good jobs. Good jobs.
Well, look, you know,
that's the sound of the men working on my road. Gang. That's the sound of your mom working on my road. Gang. MBAs who lost their jobs as the economy was going down. working on the highways and byways and wearing a smile. It's roads and bridges we need today, not the job of yesterday. That's the sound of the men working on my road. Gang, that's the sound of your mom working on my road. Gang, and you hear him saying, good. I'm gonna vote one of these days. I'm gonna vote for Obama, good. Whom I love so dear, 'cause he gave me this job right here. That's the sound of the men working on my road. Gang, that's the sound of your mom working on my road. Gang, all day long they're saying, good. My, their work is so hard, infrastructure, good. Don't hurry, take your time, good. It's a government job, infrastructure, good. Don't hurry, take your time, good. It's a government.
I can't carry this backpack, it's too heavy.
Ooh, it makes me sweat. And it messes up my hair.
It's a long, long road to carry your books to school.
All across America, children are crying out for help. Do you hear them? We do. We're the What a Load Foundation, a progressive organization of parents and teachers who recognize the stress and discomfort our children experience due to overloaded backpacks. At What a Load, we look to create solutions to this growing problem, like lighter books with less information and making homework voluntary. Because what could possibly be more important than our children's comfort?
It ain't heavy if it's empty.
Now a message in the public interest about PTSD, pre-traumatic stress disorder.
Does anyone you know attend a radical mosque with a jihadist imam? Does he or she attempt to reach out to Al-Qaeda, say inflammatory things online or at the workplace about America, the great Satan? At first you might think they could be an Islamic terrorist nutjob, but they are just suffering from PTSD, pre-traumatic stress disorder.
Pre-traumatic stress disorder is caused by the stress one experiences from George W. Bush's mistaken attempt to defend our country against terrorism by sending troops overseas.
So before you jump to conclusions and get all judgmental about people who act differently than you, remember, gunning down random soldiers and shouting Allahu Akbar may just be a cry for help.
This message about pre-traumatic stress disorder brought to you by the Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano, who's more worried about offending terrorists than protecting you. Now a message from President Barack Obama about today's ATF.
My fellow Americans, in the past, the ATF just regulated the sale of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Pretty boring. But under my administration, we've expanded their mandate to boost the nation's economy with cool new programs like Operation Fast and Furious, where we sold over 2,500 illegal firearms on the Mexican border in record time. Operation Blackout. To help sell new cars, we gave away free cases of liquor to anyone buying a government motors car with a DUI conviction and a suspended license. And Operation Puff More. We need a new generation of smokers to pay taxes, so we rewarded Atlanta school children for their good grades with a carton of smokes.
Today's modern Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Who knows what they'll do next?
Holder, put that bottle down and leave that alone.
Now here's we don't have the audio of what Herman Cain said to Christiane Amanpour. I just want to tell you what he said, because I got some emails. So why are you getting so exercised about this? The reason I'm getting so exercised about it is not, folks, and I will admit I'm exercised about it, is not to criticize Herman Cain. Our guys are going to have to learn at some point how to deal with these people. We're going to have to stop going on their shows if we're not going to know how to deal with them. When you are a Republican presidential candidate, I understand. They call you from ABC, the Sunday show, you go. You don't say no. Okay, but you better figure out what they're trying to do by having you on. It's just like I told a Republican freshman back in 1994. Cokie Roberts going to call you. She's going to bat her eyes at you, but she's ticked off that you're there. The media is not happy that you are going to be running Congress. Their objective is going to be to get rid of you. They're never going to treat you like the winners. They're buddies, they're friends of the Democrats. So they invite you on these shows. Every moment is a gotcha. And our people are going to have to learn to figure this out. If they're going to go on these shows, what Herman Cain said, the question about the rock at Perry's family hunting ground that they leased in the 1983, I think. They started leasing it, and the name on the rock identifying this hunting ground, the N-word. And so the Perry family painted over the rock, and then they eventually turned the rock over. It embarrassed them. So the Washington Post has this story about just the opposite. No sources, no named sources, no evidence whatsoever. The point of the Washington Post story is that Rick Perry's a racist because he chose a place that was named with the N-word in it to go hunting. Now, how stupid and absurd is the allegation? Here it is, 2011, and the media still think that they can convince readers that Republicans are institutional racists. Imagine Rick Perry and his family went to a place to hunt in Texas, early 80s, had the N-word in it, and that's why they chose it. Yeah, because they don't like N-words, and they are racist. It's laughable that they think this is 30 years ago and people are automatically going to believe this stuff. So Herman Cain said, my reaction is that it's very insensitive. There are some words that do not basically inspire the kind of negativity like that particular word, and I know that you're refraining from saying that word, so I'm going to say the word that was on the rock. The name of the place was called, I'm not going to say it. It was the N-word followed by the word head. And Herman Cain says it's very insensitive. And since Governor Perry has been going there for years to hunt, I think it shows a lack of sensitivity for a long time of not taking that word off of that rock and renaming the place. This is basically a case of insensitivity. Well, Perry did. They tried to paint over it. They turned the rock upside down. Perry had taken the name off of the rock, or his father had, back in 1983, if not earlier. And Christiane Amanpour knew that since it was in the Washington Post story. Here was the question that she asked to Herman Cain that resulted in the answer I just read you. And it's been painted over. She said to her, it's been painted over, but the report raises questions about whether this rock, this stone without word on it, was still on display even quite recently in the last several years. What's your reaction to that? Now, I understand Cain wants to beat Perry in the Republican presidential primary, and I understand how he might have interpreted the question as an opportunity to nail Perry. But wasn't it just last week that somebody called Herman Cain some epithet? Didn't they call him some? I forget what it was. He was called a name along the lines of an Uncle Tom because he's a Republican black. But what was obvious was that Christiane Amanpour was unable to figure out the Washington Post had no evidence whatsoever to make the claim that the name had been on display on that rock over the last several years, because no one whatsoever, except for a bunch of anonymous sources, who the Washington Post claims, by the way, were big Perry supporters who just worried about this hurting him. But nobody will go on record The reason for harping on this is not that any other reason. It's time now that every Republican running for the presidency know what they're dealing with when they go on ABC, CBS, or NBC. And it's about time they understand one thing. They are not being invited on these shows to be assisted. They're not being invited on these shows because these shows are interested in them. They're not being invited on these shows because anybody related to this show wants to see them succeed. They're being invited on these shows so that perhaps the media can destroy any and all of the Republican nominees or candidates for the nomination. And so I cringe when a Republican candidate falls prey to this. Well, what would have been the correct answer would have been to tell Christiane Amanpour it's a non-story, and can we talk about the loss of jobs in this country and the attack on the private sector? This is a non-story. The Washington Post has no evidence for it, and it's time you people stopped in the media. It's time you stopped with your little template here of trying to tag every one of us racist, sexist, bigoted homophobes. It's called offense. But, folks, I'm telling you, our side is still deathly afraid of making those people mad. They're just deathly afraid of it. Mr. Limbaugh, they're deathly afraid of making you mad, too. It said so right there in the Associated Press. Well, yeah, but that's for good reason. No reason to be afraid of these people. These people in the media are 1/3 as smart. They're not the wizards of smart. They're not the grand poobahs. They can be easily outrun or outsmarted here. It's who they are and how they operate and what their objectives are is crystal clear. What did Maxine Waters call Herman Cain an Oreo? I didn't hear that. Somebody says I don't know. Anyway, Rick Perry was a Democrat when he started hunting at this place. He was a Democrat back in the 80s. Fran Tarkenton, former quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. No. I'm excited. Yeah. I know. I hate to admit this. This is like Christmas Eve. I have been going nuts trying to figure out what Apple's going to announce tomorrow. I cannot. What? I do not know what they're going to do. This is the most amazing. There is no inside stuff. Let me tell you this. Apple has got an announcement tomorrow. But nobody knows what. It just says, let's talk iPhone. 10 o'clock tomorrow morning Pacific time. Let's talk iPhone. Okay. 2 weeks ago, folks, this is stunning. This is amazing. 2 weeks ago, and 3 weeks ago, and 2 months ago, 6 months ago, Apple, as of today, has not said a word about a new iPhone. There has been no official nothing from Apple about a new iPhone. What there are a bunch of blogs and rumors. Gore is a member of the Apple board of directors, and he did allude to the fact that a couple of iPhones are coming in October. But Apple, Gore is not Apple. He is on the board. Apple hasn't said a word. 2 weeks ago, in a 30-minute stretch of time, there were a couple of rumors about a new iPhone and what it was going to do. Apple stock went up. Their total aggregate market cap went up $50 billion on rumors on internet blogs. Apple had not said a word. Apple still hasn't said a word. Now, the latest beta of iTunes is out, and some of the wizards of smart have gone through it, and they have found references to an iPhone 4S. Okay, well, what's that? Nobody knows what the 4S is. It's been 16 months since they've had an iPhone, and tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific, they're going to announce it. I'm like everybody else. I'm caught up in this. I can't wait. I'm just trying to figure out. I myself am spending time trying to figure out what it is, but there's no way of knowing. I don't know. No, my gut is to tell me they got problems and it's not going to be anything super duper special. But on the other side of that, there is some, not evidence, but there are some compelling indications that they're going to revolutionize the whole smartphone industry tomorrow. Basically with voice to text, artificial intelligence. But nobody knows. Nobody knows. They have kept it. Supposedly they are manufacturing, Snerdley, look at me. Supposedly they are manufacturing 150,000 iPhones a day. And nobody throughout the vendor supply chain will actually admit anything. I don't know how they get everybody to clam up. Phone will talk back to you, is what I mean by artificial intelligence. Supposedly one of the things that it's going to have is voice to text dictation. You can say, iPhone, send text to Snerdley, I'll be a little late this morning. And the phone just does it. Just does it. And then talks back and tells you that it did it. As long as the name Snerdley's in your address book, if you say text, it'll fire up the SMS app and it'll send a text. If you say iPhone, email Snerdley, whatever, it translates what you're saying to text in an email. You hit send and it sends it. You don't ever have to type anything. You're never going to have to connect an iPhone or an iPad to your computer ever again for any reason. Everything's going to be wireless. Some of that's been announced. Now the software stuff, that's been announced. Not the voice stuff, the artificial intelligence. That's coming someday, but nobody knows if it's tomorrow. But that's where everybody's on pens and needles. Anyways, I'm just sitting here about that. And I got Fran Tarkenton here, who has a piece, What If the NFL Played by Teachers' Rules? Fran Tarkenton, former quarterback, Minnesota Vikings. And this is really a great piece. And, of course, allows me the opportunity to irritate you stick to the issues people. Because here in 10 minutes, I'm talking about the iPhone and football. So I got to take a break. Plus, this school story about how you can end up in jail and a felon if you take your kid out of the school where you live and send him to a better school nearby. All that coming up, plus your phone. Well, don't tell me that the iPhone 4S is showing up in various, like at Verizon and Radio Shack in their inventory. This is iPhone 5, but this is a placeholder. There isn't an iPhone 5 that nobody knows. So just because Radio Shack or Vodafone I'll tell you how bad it is. Over the weekend, there was this tiny little service provider in Cincinnati that's not affiliated with AT&T or any of the other providers that Apple deals with, that had, for the briefest of moments until they pulled it off of their website, on their website where you buy service or buy phones, the iPhone 5 with the bigger screen, 4G speeds, what the price was going to be. Somebody saw it, took a screenshot of it, sent it to a couple Apple blogs. That hit the whole Apple universe all over the world. Then that place, Cincinnati, pulled it. But nobody knows if it was faked. It could have been a dummy Photoshop. Totally thing's been faked. So yeah, you can find in Verizon and other places in their inventory list iPhone 4S 32 gig, but Apple hasn't said there's a 4S. Well, maybe they have, because in the latest iTunes beta, people who have stripped away the code have found reference to an iPhone 4S. But that could be a placeholder, because it's a beta. The point is, nobody knows this is, and yet Apple stock, their market cap just balloons up on rumors. Never balloons down. That's fascinating to me. Anyway, you sit tight, be patient, be cool, hang in there, be tough. We're coming right back.
Rush Limbaugh, pointing the way on the EIB network.
I want my Al TV
Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
On the cutting edge, Rush Limbaugh, having more fun than a human being, should be allowed to have talent on loan from God. So I think what's going on here, folks, the regime and the state-controlled media want Romney to be our nominee. That's what they want. They think Romney's beatable. This Perry, you should read this Washington Post story. We'll have it linked to at rushlimbaugh.com. It's written as though Rick Perry painted the N-word on the rock himself. And I will bet you that a Democrat put that word on this rock way back when. I'll bet you that a Democrat named this hunting place that name. So what you have in the Washington Post story is they're trying to shape the field. They're trying to pick our nominee. Well, Michelle Bachmann, disabling migraines. Sarah Palin, stupid. Paul Ryan pushed grandmother off a cliff in a wheelchair. And take your pick of any other nominees that they're trying to mischaracterize and what have you. And that's why I think our people either need to be schooled how to behave when they go on these shows or punt. And just don't go on these shows. Here's Fran Tarkenton. What if the NFL played by teachers' rules? Imagine the National Football League in an alternate reality. Each player's salary is based on how long he's been in the league. It's about tenure, not talent. The same scale is used for every player, no matter whether he's an all-pro quarterback or the last man on the roster. For every year a player's been in this NFL, he gets a bump in pay. The only difference between Tom Brady and the worst player in the league is a few years of step increases. And if a player makes it through his third season, he can never be cut from the roster until he chooses to retire, except in the most extreme cases of misconduct. Now, let's face the truth about this alternate reality. The on-field product under such circumstances would steadily decline. Why bother playing harder or better and risk getting hurt? No matter how much money was poured into the league, it wouldn't get better. In fact, in many ways, the disincentive to play harder or to try to stand out would be even stronger with more money. Of course, a few wild-eyed reformers might suggest the whole system was broken and needed revamping to reward better results, but the players' union would refuse to budge and then demonize the reform advocates. They hate football, they hate the players, they hate the fans. The only thing that might get done would be building bigger, more expensive stadiums. If you haven't figured it out yet, the NFL in this alternate reality is the real-life American public education system. That's exactly how it works. You get a job, you hang in for 3 years. It doesn't matter how well you do your job or not. You still get your automatic pay increases. After you've worked for 3 years, you get paid for the rest of your life, no matter when you quit, no matter what you do. Doesn't matter how good you are. Doesn't matter how well you do the job. Doesn't matter whether the students are learning anything. In the alternate universe NFL, same thing. Get on the roster the last 3 years. It doesn't matter if you're the star quarterback or the equipment manager. You get paid the same, and you get paid for life. Teachers' salaries have no relation to whether teachers are actually good at their job. Excellence is not rewarded. Neither is extra effort. Pay is almost solely determined by how many years they've been teaching. That's it. After a teacher earns tenure, which is often essentially automatic, firing him or her becomes almost impossible, no matter how bad their performance might be. And if you criticize the system, you're demonized for hating teachers and not believing in our nation's children. Inflation-adjusted spending per student in the U.S. has nearly tripled since 1970. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, we spend more per student than any nation except Switzerland, with only middling results to show for it. Inflation-adjusted spending is just all there is. There's no incentive to work harder. These same misguided beliefs are front and center in Obama's jobs plan, which includes billions for public school modernization. Some reformers, including Bill Gates, finally catching on that our federally centralized, union-created system provides no incentive for better performance. If anything, it penalizes those who work hard because they spend time and energy and their own money to help students, only to get the same check every month as the worst teacher in the district, or even smaller one if that teacher's been there longer. Is it any surprise, then, that so many good teachers burn out or become disenchanted? This is the setup for the story that follows. What happens to students and parents in these schools?
Do you suffer from affluenza, an affliction unique to America's high achievers?
Hey, nice car. I don't deserve it. I'm just one of the lucky ones who took out student loans and went to night schools. I worked hard nights and weekends, and then all of a sudden, 20 years later, I'm president of the company.
That's when affluenza strikes.
I'm so ashamed. Gee, I'm sorry.
Fortunately, there is a simple cure for affluenza. Listen to Rush Limbaugh 3 hours a day, every day.
Is there a radio in this car? Why?
And the debilitating symptoms of affluenza will vanish like magic.
I think there's somebody you should listen to.
Listen to Rush Limbaugh every day for fast, effective relief of common affluenza. And continue to listen to prevent reoccurrence. Common side effects include increased alertness, a swelling of the bank account, marked improvement of your golf swing, and a heightened appreciation of fine cigars. Rush Limbaugh, the cure for common affluenza. And now, a message about illegal drugs from President Barack Obama.
My fellow Americans, many of you are concerned about illegal drug use in our country, and I am too. So today, I'm instituting a plan to end all illegal medical marijuana use by making it legal. No longer will federal officers be allowed to enforce the law in states that want to get high. We call it don't ask, don't smell. They will not be allowed to question your prescription from a licensed professional dealer named Eddie for such ailments as rabies, headaches, acne, amnesia, or I just want to get high. By allowing sick people to get their medicine, we will help those in our economy who are out of work and looking for a job to replace that job search with a new hobby. It will also have a greening effect. More kids will move back in with mom and dad once their ambition is cured by puffing on a blunt. Our economy will grow due to the side effect of increased random snack food use, which we plan to tax to help shrink the federal deficit. But the best result of don't ask, don't smell is that my health care plan numbers will finally make sense to more Americans. People, change is in the air. So if you have a prescription to fight nicotine addiction, light up and take a long drag on me. Thank you.
Now for Barack Obama, a 90-second quick start study guide on how to fix what's wrong with America from Rush Limbaugh.
Defund Acorn. Prosecute voter intimidation. Fire all the czars and end the practice of hiring them. Propose a bill that actually cuts spending 2% every year for the next 10 years and veto every spending bill until the requested bill is passed. List your proposed cuts to achieve the 2% reduction in spending every year. Across-the-board tax cuts, individual 2 levels, 10% up to $100,000 a year, 25% for over that amount. Corporate tax rate, 15%. Repeal the alternative minimum tax, the death tax, and capital gains taxes. Just repeal it. Privatize General Motors and Chrysler, and that includes getting the unions out of ownership. End TARP and the slush fund. Cut off all slush fund and porculous spending that has not been spent. Lift all restrictions preventing interstate health insurance and real tort reform. And endorse Charles Krauthammer's proposal to scrap the current medical malpractice system. Repeal Executive Order 10988, which gives federal workers the right to join unions and bargain collectively. Reserve constitutional rights for Americans. Treat terrorists as enemy combatants and not common criminals and U.S. citizens. And return the right to interrogate those that attack us to the FBI and the CIA. And last but not least, keep Guantanamo Bay open for business because we're going to need it. Very simple. Okay, let's review Fran Tarkenton. Op-ed, Wall Street Journal, imagines what the NFL would look like if run like America's public school system. What if the NFL played by teachers' rules? It would go out of business, and the reason is that watching football is voluntary. Nobody would sponsor nor pay to watch lazy mediocrity. And by the way, this is not to cut teachers, this is human nature. I remember in the early days of this program, I accused the Bricklayers Union in Chicago of securing in a new contract the right to lay fewer bricks than they were laying in their current contract, longer breaks, all kinds of stuff. They raised hell, but it went away because I was right. It's just the nature of the beast. If in fact, over the years, people have called here and said, what do you got against unions? Nothing. You want to join a union, feel free. It's a free country. It's the United States. There are unions here, and if you want to join one, go ahead. But understand something. You cease to be an individual. You get paid like everybody else. Your own individual work doesn't stand out. To earn more, you got to work overtime. It's not the place to go to make a name for yourself. That's what you want to do. But if that's not important to you, joining a union and a job and all the benefits that come with it, that's what's important. Fine, go for it. But then don't call me 3 years later complaining about how much money you're not making, because you knew that going in. Especially teachers. You know what you're going to make if you join a teachers union. So you put the school system rules in charge of the National Football League, and people are going to stop going. They'll stop buying tickets. They'll stop buying merchandise. They'll stop watching. Advertising sales would dry up because fewer people would be watching games on television. ESPN would not pay the NFL $1.9 billion to broadcast the games. And that was Fran Tarkenton's point. There's no incentive. It takes to the next piece, also in the Wall Street Journal, by Michael Flaherty, president and co-founder of Walden Media, which co-produced the 2010 documentary Waiting for Superman about the American public education system. If you haven't seen it, you should rent it. It's good. The latest crime wave is sending your child to a better school. In case you needed further proof of the American education system's failings, especially in poor and minority communities, consider the latest crime to spread across the country. It's called educational theft. That's the charge that has landed several parents in jail this year, such as Ohio's Kelly Williams Bowler. An African-American mother of two, Ms. Williams Bowler, last year used her father's address to enroll her two daughters in a better public school outside their neighborhood. After spending 9 days in jail, charged with grand theft, the single mother was convicted of 2 felony counts. Not only did this stain her spotless record, but it threatened her ability to earn the teacher's license that she'd been working on. Ms. Williams Bowler caught a break last month when Ohio Governor John Kasich granted her clemency, reducing her charges to misdemeanors from felonies. His decision allows her to pursue her teacher's license, and it may provide hope to parents beyond the Buckeye State. In the last year, parents in Connecticut, Kentucky, and Missouri have all been arrested and await sentencing for enrolling their children in better public schools outside their districts. These arrests represent 2 major forms of exasperation. First is that of parents whose children are zoned into failing public schools. They can't afford private schools, they can't access school vouchers, and they haven't won or haven't been able to enter a lottery for a better charter school. Then there's the exasperation of school officials, finding it more and more difficult to deal with these boundary-hopping parents. From California to Massachusetts, districts are hiring special investigators to follow children from school to their homes to determine their true residences and decide if they belong in high-achieving public schools. No. Now, you are probably listening to this in one degree of incredulity or another. You can't believe what you're hearing. Parents are felons and are going to jail for sending their kids to better schools outside of the districts in which they live. We don't forget the Fran Tarkenton piece about what has happened to public education if the NFL were run the same way the teachers union and the public schools are run. There's no incentive for the teachers to do any better. And by the way, who is it that defends this system? It's your Democrat Party. It's your President Barack Obama, who are loyal to teachers unions first and foremost. Who is it that's keeping these rundown schools open while running around bellyaching and whining and moaning about the need for shovel-ready jobs to build new schools and new infrastructure and all that? So while our president is running around not doing anything and running around claiming that bridges are about to collapse while people drive over them, he also says the same thing about schools, but who is it that's keeping them open? Who is it that is putting parents in jail in the United States of America for trying to send their kids to better public schools near where they live? This is jaw-dropping, is it not? This is how police states work. And this is what happens when the Democrat Party cares more about pleasing and satisfying teachers' unions. And why do they, you say? Well, teachers, as members of unions, pay dues. And the dues end up funding Democrat campaigns. Once again, it's a giant money laundering operation. Wherever you find, 99 out of 100 times, wherever you find a union, you are going to find massive amounts of money that support by way of coercion, then donation and contribution to Democrat candidates. Liberal policies in public education are continuing to hurt the poor. Who is it hurting the poor here? It is the poor who are trying to escape. Let us not forget, in Washington, D.C., there was a voucher program when Obama assumed office. There was a voucher program that permitted parents of poor children to send their kids to private schools. The same type of school Obama sends his children to, and the Clintons sent Chelsea to. The same kind of school that Al Gore sent his kids to. The same kind of school that members of Congress send their kids to. However, Obama came in and shut down that program. Poor kids whose parents desperately, just like any other parents, they want the best for their kids, and like most Americans, they think education's the ticket. Like most parents, regardless of income, they want the best for their kids and the best education. So if a program comes along that allows them to get their kids in a greater school, they'll apply for it, do what they can to have access to it. And here comes who? A Democrat president shutting it down. Who is it keeping these dilapidated, underperforming, crony union schools open in their dilapidated state? The Democrat Party. Liberalism, ladies and gentlemen. Liberal policies in public education continue to hurt the poor. Only in a world where irony is dead could people not marvel at concerned parents being prosecuted for stealing a free public education for their children. Public education is already free, but they're being charged with educational theft. That is the felonious charge that has been created, educational theft, if you send your kid to a school outside your district. In August, an internal PowerPoint presentation from the American Federation of Teachers surfaced online. The document described how the American Federation of Teachers undermined minority parent groups' efforts in Connecticut to pass the parent trigger legislation that offers parents real governing authority to transform failing schools. A key to the American Federation of Teachers' success in killing the effort was keeping parents' groups away from the table. Story goes on to talk about two different schools here, a good school and a poor school. And it concludes that the defining differences between the two schools is parents. It's actually a novel, 1943, written by Betty Smith, called A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. And that was adapted into an Academy Award-winning movie. And in the novel, Frances Nolan is a bright young daughter of Irish immigrants living in Brooklyn's Williamsburg immigrant ghetto in the early 20th century. An avid reader, Francie's crushed when she attends her local public school, discovers that opportunity is non-existent for girls of her ilk. So she and her father, Johnny, claim the address of a house next to a good public school. That's where they say they live. Francie enrolls at the better school. Her life is transformed. A teacher nurtures her love for writing. She goes on to thrive at the school. She eventually becomes an accomplished writer who tells the story of her transformation through education. It's a novel made into a movie in 1943. The defining difference between the two schools in the novel is parents. At the good school, the parents were too American, too aware of the rights granted them by their Constitution to accept injustices meekly. They could not be bulldozed and exploited, as could the immigrants and the second-generation Americans. And, by the way, this is another reason why the children of illegals are sought for public schools. They'll put up with it. The children of illegals will put up with these dilapidated schools because for them, it is a huge step up. And these schools become little indoctrination centers for the children of illegal immigrants as they are brainwashed and programmed to become Democrats as adults. Yeah. They hire investigators to follow kids leaving school to see where they actually go. No one ever fools the KGB.
Somebody has to have the guts to say it. Rush on the EIB network.
I want my Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
Okay, to the phones we go. Who's next? Susie. Susie in Pittsburgh. Great to have you on the EIB network. Hi.
Hi, Rush. I'm so excited. You have no idea how long I've been listening to you, and I'm one of your biggest fans, and I'm just so excited to talk to you. I wanted to talk about the incident at the debate where the soldier was supposedly booed, and I don't think that he was booed. I think it was the question that was booed. Being a Pennsylvanian and knowing what Senator Santorum has had to put up with when he was up for re-election for the Senate, I think that it might have been two frustrated Pennsylvania supporters of his in the audience who heard this question and just knew they're just trying to stick it to him once again, and were upset about the question aimed at the senator. And I mean, in Pennsylvania, he just was just constantly pilloried by the left.
Sadly, it worked.
It did. I mean, they were just brutal to him, and he's one of the most honest, respectable men, and truly a statesman. And this brings me to a question I have for you too: is that I've noticed that Senator Santorum and Newt Gingrich have been just so marginalized in this debate and in these debates, and they're two of the smartest people up there. I mean, they have done so much already in the Congress and the Senate.
Okay, so what's the question?
Well, I'm just wondering why they're being so marginalized, even by the Fox people, with questions, and why they just aren't being heard. I mean,
I don't look at. I don't pretend. I don't pretend to understand how the host and the moderators go about deciding who's going to be asked what. I don't. They don't consult me on that, but I can explain. I think why both those guys are having trouble getting traction. You're not going to like it. But you call me and you ask a question, and I think I can answer it. In the case of Rick Santorum, I don't know this. I'm going to tell you what I think it is. Two things. The endorsement, remember we're talking about Republican primary vote, the endorsement of Senator Specter, and the fact, and this Susie, this is, you may think this is fleeting, but it's not. It's really important. It's not just that Senator Santorum lost his reelection bid. He lost it by 20 points. That is, people remember that. It may be unfair. You're asking me for reasons why no traction. And I need to tell you, everybody is, I love Rick Santorum. He's a friend of mine. And my comment here has nothing to do with whether or not he'd be a good president. I think he'd be a great one, in fact. You ask me why he's not getting traction. I'll tell you what I think. With Newt, it's the same thing. You're dealing with 80% of the time a genius. But in that other 20%, you get TV commercials on a couch with Nancy Pelosi on climate change. And then you get a joint appearance with Hillary Clinton on health care, which kind of dilutes the 80%. Now, his numbers are coming up. Newt's in double digits now, which means that his performances in these debates have been consistent enough and powerful enough that people are focusing on the 80% or 90% that's Newt genius. Now, I'm fairly confident that my answers to you are correct, but I can't say it with ontological certitude. But as to why the Fox people structure the debate the way they do and who gets questions and how much time, no my job, and they have yet to consult me at Fox on this. All I can tell you is they're not debates. They are enlarged press conferences with time limits. And so the skills required here. That's why Romney's doing well. How many is he's done this for 2 or 3 cycles now. You get good at it with practice. I've told you, brevity is the soul of wit. These people are going to have to learn to say what they think with persuasion and convincibility in 30 seconds. And if they can't, they're going to come off as looking incoherent. It's the nature of the beast to them.
In times like these, we need him more than ever. Rush on the EIB network.
I want my Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most
It is the fastest 3 hours in media. 2 of them are already gone. And would you believe I've still only barely scratched the surface of today's show prep? We'll keep digging even deeper as the next hour commences mere moments from now.
Attention EIP affiliates. Stand by for the Rush Limbaugh promo feed. Copyright 2011. EIP Network. Start all recording devices in 3, 2, 1. Now.
Rush Limbaugh.
When you are a Republican presidential candidate, I understand they call you from ABC, the Sunday show, you go. You don't say no. Okay, but you better figure out what they're trying to do.
Rush Limbaugh.
It's just like I told a Republican freshman back in 1994. The media is not happy that you are going to be running Congress. Their objective is going to be to get rid of you. We're going to have to stop going on their shows if we're not going to know how to deal with them. Every moment is a gotcha. And our people are going to have to learn to figure this out. When you are a Republican presidential candidate, I understand they call you from ABC, the Sunday show, you go. You don't say no. Okay, but you better figure out what they're trying to do. It's just like I told a Republican freshman back in 1994. The media is not happy that you are going to be running Congress. Their objective is going to be to get rid of you. We're going to have to stop going on their shows if we're not going to know how to deal with them. Every moment is a gotcha. And our people are going to have to learn to figure this out.
Be with us for the next journey into broadcast excellence.
Greetings to you, thrill seekers and conversationalists. Rush Limbaugh, America's truth detector.
A broadcast like no other.
It combines 2 elements rarely found in the same presentation: a serious discussion of issues and an irreverent humor, both offering credibility.
He's America's most listened to talk radio host,
the doctor of democracy and the chief of the patriotism police.
And where do you find him? Right here. This concludes the promo feed. Production directors everywhere. Be with us next time as we make your life easier on the EIB network. Now Now a timely message to the American people from the president of Government Motors.
If you're still complaining about the high price of gas and you're only getting 8 miles to the gallon, you might want to think about trading in that car you chose and get a new Government Motors Eco Future.
Because ride, comfort, safety, power, dependability, convenience, and personal choice aren't everything, President Obama is requiring all Americans to get the new Eco Future, the car that runs entirely on President Obama's new green energy technology. Sometime in the future.
Until then, you'll lose weight and get in shape when you push it to work, push it to the store, push you and your family and your boat to the lake.
Using the latest nanotechnology, we've built the lightest, most sustainable car ever. And each Eco Future comes with a certified copy of a facsimile of ownership from the Hawaiian Department of Motor Vehicles.
And my own personal promise of plenty of clean, renewable sources of energy for it in a couple of years.
Government Motors Eco Future. Push yours today. Unemployment is an important part of the United States economy. Brilliant economists like Nancy Pelosi recognize that extending unemployment benefits will pull us out of the longest recession in recorded history. Just ask President Obama.
Since I took office, many of you have learned about the many joys of unemployment. Taking long walks in the park, being at home with your kids, taking another walk. But did you realize that without every dollar of unemployment insurance spent by the unemployed, our economy would not be what it is today? Make no mistake, borrowing from other countries to pay people who might otherwise look for work is just a no-brainer. And extending unemployment benefits beyond 2, 3, or even 4 years will ensure that there will always be enough unemployment for everyone, so you can take long walks, be at home with the kids, watch TV, go to the mailbox.
Don't let Republicans take away your unemployment benefits. Call Congress today and demand your right to unemployment. We're the Democrats. You can depend on us forever.
They think too much, they say, I got something to cover up. Born in the USA, I was born in the USA, I was born in the USA, not somewhere far away. I was in a little hometown band, wore a gray skirt and played in the sand. What makes you think I'm from a foreign land?
Yeah. Hang on here just a second. Okay, grab some by 25 and 26. And let's see, 22 and 23. So 25, 26, 22, 23. Greetings. Great to have you back here, folks. Rush Limbaugh. Doing what I was born to do. And doing it so well, I even impress me. Telephone number 800-282-2882 if you want to join us. The email address lrushball@eibnet.com. General Motors has repeatedly claimed a sales target for 2011 of 10,000 Chevy Volts. 10,000 of them. 9 months into the year, they have shipped 3,895. And September sales numbers released an hour ago. General Motors sold 723 Volts in September. They had an objective, had a goal out there of 10,000. They're at 3,900 basically, and 723 this month. Just passing on the information. How many of you use inhalers for asthma? A lot of people do. I never have, but a lot of people do. I know people who do. I don't use one, but and this story, this is a very serious issue. In a macro way, this goes right to the just oppressive, overall insensitive power of the federal government. And then the micro view, what are so many people going to do who rely on this? On January 1st, a new federal rule meant to make the air cleaner is going to make it much harder for millions of Americans to breathe. The Food and Drug Administration is waging war on asthma inhalers because they emit trace amounts of greenhouse gases. Global warming, climate change, it's a hoax. It's a fraud. Did the EPA care? No. This is the regime. It's power. They haven't even acknowledged that it's a hoax. They continue to create policies to deal with global warming, climate change, greenhouse gases. Last month, the FDA announced the ban of over-the-counter inhalers that use CFCs to deliver medicine, based on the concern that they might poke a little hole in the ozone layer. 3 million asthmatics who prefer these inhalers are now going to have to pay triple the price to get prescription devices just so a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington can sit around thinking they're doing something to save the planet. So asthma sufferers who buy over-the-counter inhalers are destroying the climate. They got to pay for it. They have to pay for it. There are different kinds of inhalers. The FDA is targeting Primatene Mist devices, which use CFCs to shoot epinephrine into the lungs. Epinephrine provides instant relief to people during an asthma attack. The government preferred device doesn't offer epinephrine, forces people to take slow, deep breaths from their inhaler, which might be hard if you're wheezing. So this is just more evidence here of the kind of people that we're dealing with. But look at the FDA can just unilaterally ban a product. And millions of Americans depend on this. Then there is the insult to our intelligence that people with these inhalers are destroying the planet. No different than aerosol hairspray and deodorant creating an ozone hole. By the way, I have a story here. I haven't printed it out, but I've got a story, a panic. Let's see if I can find it here real quick. It is, the ozone hole is being caused by cold weather. I'll find it during the break. Ozone hole being called by codes. So they don't know. It's a hoax. All of this is a bunch of gunk. Vice President Cheney says that the Obama administration owes the Bush administration an apology. Cheney yesterday called last week's CIA drone strike against al-Qaeda operative Anwar Awlaki a validation of the George W. Bush administration's terrorist fighting strategy. Said that Obama should apologize for his past criticism of these policies. We've got audio on this. Dick Cheney was on State of the Union on CNN with Candy Crowley, who said, I guess what I'm asking, isn't the proof in the pudding? Hasn't this administration waged a successful war against terror?
If you got the President of the United States out there saying we overreacted to 9/11 on our watch, that's not good.
You'd like an apology, it sounds like.
Well, I would. I think that would be not for me, but I think for the Bush administration, and that he misspoke when he gave that speech in Cairo 2 years ago.
Right, it's something else. Something else. Here we have the regime with drones or whatever wiping out an American citizen. No due process, no charges, no evidence, no nothing. Just, here's a drone, you're dead, Awlaki. What? Wait a second, though. And liberals are applauding this. Liberals are saying, you see, Obama is tough on terrorism. Right, liberals are applauding. But waterboarding is an act of war. Waterboarding is a crime. Waterboarding is a crime. Waterboarding is something that we should have these victims allowed a trial to run down this country in New York City for 2 years. You can't waterboard these people. You can't put them on a waterboard and sweat the truth out of them and find out what they did. But boy, you can sure bomb them to smithereens. We liberals will let you do that, but you can't waterboard them. Go ahead and kill them. But if you waterboard them, we're going to try to put you in jail in international court. Liz Cheney got in on this, too. Candy Crowley said, Liz, do you feel that Obama wronged the Bush administration?
I think he slandered the nation, and I think he owes an apology to the American people. Those are the policies that kept us safe. They're the policies, frankly, that contributed. The enhanced interrogation technique, we know now, Leon Panetta has said some of the intelligence we gained through that program helped us identify the location of bin Laden. So I think the president owes everybody an apology, frankly.
Yeah, well, and they know it's not going to be forthcoming. There won't be one, but they're out there making the point. And Cheney, by the way, did endorse the killing of Anwar Awlaki as justified, despite Awlaki's U.S. citizenship. He suggested that the Obama White House is being hypocritical when it approved a deadly strike against Awlaki while condemning waterboarding, so-called enhanced interrogation. He's exactly right. I mean, it's more than just irony. Either way, a question, ladies and gentlemen. Drudge has a headline up here. Bankruptcy fear rocks street. American Airlines bankruptcy fear rocks Wall Street. I have a question. Will the regime buy American Airlines? Well, they bought General Motors and Chrysler. What do you mean they don't need an airline? What do you mean they don't need an airline? He didn't buy General Motors to have his own car. He bought General Motors to control the auto industry and to save the union. Now, there's a lot of unions at American Airlines, aren't there? Now, you know, Obama, sure, he's got his own airplane, and it's not American Airlines, but he could buy American Airlines and make them start flying around to whatever the airplane equivalent of the Volt is. You know, speaking of motors and engines, here, ladies and gentlemen, getting the most from the things that you rely on to get through the course of your day is helpful. Getting the most out of them, like your car. You expect your car to work, and you want it to perform to the maximum potential. Unless you have a car that's brand new, like 2 months brand new, that car of yours is not operating at peak efficiency. Now, there's an outfit that can fix that. BG Products. BG Products and Services can fix that with just 2 moves. You can make your car operate almost like it's brand new. The first is going online, finding a website, bgfindashop.com. bgfindashop.com. This is a company that makes remarkable products, provides a remarkable service. It is so specialized, you can't buy and install the stuff yourself. You have to do it at highly trained automotive specialist locations. So after you have gone to bgfindashop.com, you then choose a nearby BG service location close to you from the tens of thousands that exist. Now, BG Services is a service for your car that is available in tens of thousands of locations that service cars. It cleans your engine and functions in a way that optimizes the engine's efficiency and practically restores the fuel and engine functions to darn near new. The service includes vehicle fluids that keep your car getting the best possible mileage after the visit. Service managers that know about these things say 3-to-1 that BG Services is the best. And if you're holding onto your car for economic reasons and you want best mileage that you can get out of your car, BG Services is the place to go. Best way to get all this started, go online to a site named bgfindashop.com and then pick a service location nearby and try it. There are all kinds of lifetime guarantees and cool stuff here. It is the best. bgfindashop.com.
Rush lays out the ugly truth on Solyndra and all the rest of Obama's stupid green projects with the Limbaugh letter. Order now. 888-395-7874. You're listening to the EIB Network.
I want my Al TV!
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one by volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller. You'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
It's the biggest disconnect that I've seen in a while. Obama's still out in public. I want this bill back. I want this bill signed now. I want this bill signed this month, in October. So Obama's out there demanding that his bill be signed this month. Meanwhile, Democrats in the Senate are saying, we're going to put it off. We don't have the votes for it here. There's no way we can pass it. Dick Durbin said last week, I just don't have a number of senators who don't want to vote for it. It's a tax increase. They're running for re-election. They just don't want any part of a tax increase right now. Nobody's sponsored in the House yet. Nobody's sponsored in the House, and Dingy Harry's name is the only one that's on it in the Senate, and it's buried over there because, I don't care what Obama says, this is the disconnect. There's no intention for this thing to ever get a vote. I mean, he'd love it if it did. If he could get all these tax increases passed, no, he would love it, but he knows it isn't going to happen, is the point. Double dipping. The well-established practice of public workers collecting government pensions and salaries at the same time has become a hot topic for lawmakers struggling with strained budgets. Even as some states have begun curbing the practice, a review by the Associated Press found that tens of thousands of state and public school employees are drawing government salaries and their pensions at the same time. In 5 states, California, New York, Texas, Florida, Michigan, at least 66,000 government retirees also receive taxpayer-funded paychecks. Their salaries? No, they don't do this in the NFL. It's a great question. Fran Tarkenton's pointed this out. You don't get your pension and your salary at the same time in the NFL. And, folks, we don't have the money for this. One of these 66,000 government retirees double dipping is an engineer named Maury Ruiz, R-O-O-S. He retired from the California Department of Water Resources with an annual pension of more than $113,000. And he returned part-time within weeks. He says he uses extra money to go to engineering conferences, and the state gets an experienced engineer. Right. So much fraud, waste, abuse out there. Here's next. Lance, Gulf Breeze, Florida. You're next on the Rush Limbaugh program. Hi, sir.
How you doing, Rush?
Very well. Appreciate it. Actually, I'm ticked off here. I've been doing a slow burn all day, but
so am I.
You wouldn't have known it had I not told you, right?
Well, I'm angry too. I'm an asthmatic inhaler using asthmatic, so dittos. And
you use Primatene Mist?
No, I have an albuterol inhaler.
Oh,
I don't know what the difference is, but if that's
I don't know about albuterol, but Primatene with the epinephrine rather, is going to be banned in January, and you're going to be wheezing out there unless you cough up prescription inhalers for 3 times the money. Is that what you got you ticked off?
No. I just heard that that was what I was waiting to get on the phone here.
Every day, the regime is launching assaults on public freedom, privacy, you name it.
Yeah, I know it's a new thing every day. What I was really calling about, though, to start with, was this soldier asking the question at the convention down in Orlando. I was the delegate down there last weekend, not this last, but the weekend before last, and during the debate when this happened, everything I've heard about it since then is totally distorted. I mean, especially, of course, I'm not surprised by what Obama's saying. He distorts everything anyway, but what happened was 2 or 3 people, I can't be sure exactly, and nobody knows, but it wasn't many, just 2 or 3 people out of about 5,000 people who were in that auditorium booed, but they didn't boo till, like your audio tape showed, it wasn't until after the guy finished asking the question, and they weren't really, so obviously they weren't booing him, and nobody around me thought that. What they were booing about was the fact that was a loaded question, and everybody there knew that it was a loaded question, and anybody who listens to that soundbite knows it's a loaded question for a GOP candidate, and that's what they were booing about, 2 or 3 people. The rest of the people just sat there and were silent, but You know, that's what bothers me.
Yeah, well, one way,
right.
no matter how you slice it, they're booing the question. They were not booing the guy because he was gay.
Right. They weren't. They were booing the question because it was a loaded question and they didn't like it.
Right, well, I'm going to tell you what this is. This is no different than the Duke lacrosse case. You have stereotypes that fit in liberal holes. In the Duke lacrosse case, you have a poor, out of luck, put upon, disadvantaged, bright, intelligent, young African-American woman so victimized by the unfairness of this country that she had to strip. She had to show up and do parties, taking her clothes off and act like a slut in order to living in this unfair, rotten-to-the-core country. And who hired her? Oh, yeah, a bunch of rich, white lacrosse people. Lacrosse, an elite sport, rich white parents, rich white guys, hiring this poor, brilliant, single mother victimized by this country. So whatever she says happened had to be the truth. If she says they raped her, then the seriousness of the charge is all we need. We don't need any evidence. Same thing here. What do you have? Gay soldier stands up, asks a question about don't ask, don't tell. 2 people in an audience of 5,000 boo. The liberal stereotypes kick into gear, full speed. Republicans who are homophobes were booing this brave, courageous soldier who showed up in the midst of the enemy. The Republican Party at a Republican Party debate. Yeah. They were booing him because bunch of homophobes. So, exactly what's happening here. Nature of the evidence, irrelevant. Seriousness of the charge, all we need. They are doing essentially the same thing with Rick Perry and this death penalty question at the CNN debate. They were claiming out there that the Republican Party, the audience, was bloodthirsty. A bunch of practically vampires. A Republican audience is bloodthirsty. They just want the killing. They love state executions. They love putting to death innocent minority people. Greatest people on earth, never did a thing wrong except be born in this country, victimized by the white-run world. So, all they're doing there is claiming that the Republican audience is a bunch of bloodthirsty killers reveling in the death of others, when in fact they were supporting Texas enforcing its laws. The reason there was cheering in that debate for Perry. We'll be back. Don't go away.
New from Capitol Records, Fritz Hollings.
The corruption everywhere out there.
And James Carville.
That's right. Corruption at the highest level.
Too much corruption going on out there.
Dueling Bozos.
We all know what's causing it.
Hollings and Carville together for the first time.
So much corruption going on there, it's even corrupted me.
Singing the only tune they know.
Yeah, everybody's guilty. I mean, come on.
Nothing we can do about it, no matter where we go. We go to breakfast, we go to Wednesday afternoon square dances.
We need to change the law.
I never even knew the word exacerbate until I came to Washington. I went down to that barbecue.
Wasn't that in the Star Report?
Why was LBJ here? Who the hell cares anymore anyway? All I know is that it was corrupt then and it's exacerbating now.
Yeah, all they're out there doing is talking about Buddhist monks.
They found this woman guilty. Guilty of what?
So what are you doing about it?
So what am I doing? I'm trying to pass a constitutional amendment to make sure that nobody give any money to politicians.
Especially politicians that fly the confetti flag.
I flew that flag. I flew it proudly.
That
as far as I'm concerned, George Bush is the one who's got to explain it. That's how out of whack it is. It's so corrupt, so exacerbating that a breach truck had to bring in a pork flowing barbecue with a bunch of contributors and nobody he's never met. Until we get going,
circles that Capitol building from day to day.
Nothing is going to get
Dueling Bozos. Available wherever this record is sold. New age educators across the country know that the old school ways of teaching kids the basics through practice, memorization, and hard work are great ways to get your kid to learn things. But the effects on their self-esteem could be very negative. So now, from the people who brought you creative spelling, it's the new Creative Geography.
Okay, Billy, what's the capital of Pakistan?
Des Moines?
That's right. Hug.
Yes, new age educators know that being correct can disturb the creative process, leading to lowering of self-esteem. That's why we encourage kids to be creative with their answers.
Let's try this again. How many continents are there? Let me give you a hint. It's between 1 and 10.
43?
Oh, I know who's gonna get a smiley face on his paper today.
Can I go out and play now?
And now, there's creative history.
Who discovered America?
Joan of Arc?
If that's good enough for you, then it's good enough for me.
And who could forget creative math?
What's 10 times 10?
3?
Good. What's 7 times 5?
3?
Oh, you're just a little genius.
The Creative Series from New Age Educators, keeping your kids stupid, but feeling really good about themselves for years. And coming soon, New Age Economics. And now, a personal message from President Obama to all remaining Democrats.
Some of you have expressed disappointment with my decision to strengthen the economy and get the best deal I can. So let me use a couple of analogies to explain. It's like the Republicans are hostage takers who threatened me in 2012. So I ran away this time, but I'm drawing a line in the sand.
And I'm itching for a fight with the Republicans, but not now. In the meantime, my job is to be reelected. Because I'm a leader, standing tall, looking for that North Star. This isn't an abstract debate. It's not, I repeat, it is not an abstract debate. I'm a leader.
Where did he go?
I don't know. He's down there somewhere. Hey, watch your step.
We are currently experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by until 2012.
Yeah, I got a couple Warren Buffett bites here. That's 20. I got to find 22. Let's see. What do I do with it? There we go. Warren Buffett. Folks, a couple things. Warren Buffett showed up, hosted a fundraiser for the regime in Chicago, actually, and in New York at the Four Treasons. The tycoon Warren Buffett, headliner of last night's fundraiser for the regime, for Obama at the Four Treasons in New York, reiterated his advice for a tax on ultra-rich people who are paying very low tax rates. And by the way, last week, Buffett clarified this. And he made it clear that what Obama wants to do is not what he would do, and he started distancing himself from what Obama's calling the Buffett rule. The Buffett rule is about this nameless secretary of his who supposedly is getting soaked by the tax code while Buffett skates off easily. And Buffett made clear, look a minute. Now, if you're on television, this is what he said, if you're on television and you earn $50 million a year, you're not affected by what I want to do. If you're an athlete and you make $50 million a year, my plan is not going to affect you. What I'm trying to get at is people who have that kind of money who are not paying a legitimate income tax rate. He has no quarrel with the income tax rate. You understand what I mean when he says, if you're on television, you're earning $50 million a year, my plan won't change you. I don't have any problem with you. If you're an athlete making $50 million, whatever, I have no problem with you. But if you have that kind of money and you're getting away with paying something at capital gains rate, not the earned income rate, then I, Warren Buffett, want to join Obama and come nail you, USOB. Why are you confused? What's so hard to understand about that? Mm-hmm. No. He's saying if you make $50 million and you're paying taxes, he's got no problem with that. That's what he's saying. It's if you have $50 million and you aren't paying taxes. But he's assuming that if you're making $50 million by appearing on TV, that you're on somebody's payroll, so the deduction is happening and you're not a problem. And if you're an athlete making 50, you're on a payroll. Your taxes are being deducted at the appropriate rate. You're cool. But if you're running around, monkeying around with it, and your secretary, like my secretary, he's saying, is paying a higher rate than I am, then... So basically, Warren Buffett says, he distanced himself from Obama a little bit. See, Buffett's old-fashioned. He doesn't realize that billionaires only have to make $200,000 a year to be called billionaires. That's in Obama's world. You're a billionaire and have a jet if you make $200,000 a year. He's uncomfortable about taxing them. But here's the thing. He hosts this big fundraiser at the Four Treasons last night for Obama. But the turnout was, quote-unquote, disappointing. It was $10,000 a plate. The turnout was disappointing. Let's see. Obama fundraising insider said the campaign has been getting resistance from some Wall Street donors from 2008 over the Buffett rule. Buffett said, hey, the event went okay. I was there. That's all anybody cared about. Well, he didn't say that. I'm just, you have to know how to read these stories. So here is Buffett. Let's go to CNBC last Friday. Squawk on the Street reporter Andrew Ross Sorkin is interviewing Buffett. Sorkin said, hey, let's talk about the Buffett rule for a moment. Talk about how it came about in terms of the White House getting in touch with you and you putting your name to this.
Gene Sperling called and said, can we use your name? And I said yes.
Are you happy with the way it's been described? Is the program that the White House has presented $1 million and over your program?
Well, the precise program, I don't know what their program will be.
So, yeah, go ahead and use my name. Well, I don't know what your program's going to be. Gene Sperling called and said, can I use your name? Sure, go ahead. Well, he doesn't even know what the program is. So the next question came, I know Buffett, it was different places, on Bloomberg, on a program called The Loop with Betty Liu, and she said, the Buffett rule, I know that you've had some pretty strong political and social views in your lifetime, you've expressed very publicly, but this, though, the Buffett rule, has become this hot-button issue. Why step out so much in the public this time around on this?
Well, it isn't to have the rich pay more taxes. It's to have the ultra-rich who are paying very low tax rates pay more taxes. Now, there's all kinds of ultra-rich who pay normal taxes, but there's a small segment, but you can find them very easily, who pay very low taxes, including me.
There you have it. That's so it was in that context that he said he doesn't care about the athlete making $50 million, a TV host making $50 million. He's not targeting them. He's targeting people like himself. Warren, why don't you turn yourself in? Why do you have this massive program to go find people like you? You know where you are. Just turn yourself in. These people amaze me. Who's next? Martha in La Crescenta, California. Welcome to the EIB network. Hello.
Hello, Rush. It's always such an honor to speak with you.
Thank you very much.
I'm a very involved conservative, and so I was somehow mistakenly put on SEIU's robocalls and conference calls, and this last call was very enlightening. SEIU is changing the subject from Obama administration scandals and his economic policies to active class warfare. They are supporting, they're part of the group of activists that supports Occupy Los Angeles, an offshoot of Occupy Wall Street, and
you know what's crazy about these people?
What?
You talking? These are the people that marched on the Brooklyn Bridge over the weekend and so forth. You know how stupid these people are.
Incredibly.
These people are out. They're out marching for big government. They are advocating for Obama's reelection. They are marching against Wall Street. Who's in bed with Obama? Wall Street. Right. These people are tools. They are abject tools. They are an embarrassment. I mean, the Vietnam War crowd is embarrassed at this bunch, how stupid they are. And then to be steered onto the Brooklyn Bridge where they can then be charged with a crime for obstructing a roadway, they're just a bunch of idiots. I know they pose a great threat. How did you end up, by the way? How did the SEIU end up with your phone number?
Well, I was working for Meg Whitman, her campaign for governor.
Oh, yeah, she's the CEO at Hewlett-Packard.
Right, and Meg Whitman was our only chance at getting the governorship back.
McCain loves her. That's right, I remember.
And after what Brown or his people called her, and nothing was done about that. Nothing was done about that. But somehow I mistakenly got on their robocall, and I have been getting calls since last November, and it's really amusing because you can find out what the other side's doing.
Oh, yeah. We sign up routinely to, like I got a guy who signs up as Biff on some of the White House website stuff and ACLU, People for the American Way. We know exactly what they're doing. We're on their list, too. Well, I don't get their phone calls because I don't answer the phone. But
well, I was really surprised, too, that they're involved with the voting machines in Nevada. I never knew that before.
What do you mean involved with the voting machines? You mean rigging them?
With the servicing and the in Nevada. I mean, that was shocking to me.
No, why should it be shocking that a bunch of union thugs involved with voting machines and servicing voting machines? Look if they run around accusing the manufacturer or us conservatives of tampering with the machines, that's a tantamount admission that they are tampering with the machines. That's how they work. So anyway, well, you keep learning what they're doing. It's a way to keep, because they're upfront and honest. I mean, how do you think Dingy Harry won in Nevada? Nevada. These protests, I'm just telling you, I have to laugh. They're such rank amateurs, and they think they're so tough. They think they're so powerful. The establishment that they hate is just using them like client number 9 used his whatever. I'm telling you, it's fascinating to watch these people as they go out and they protest the very thing that they're voting for. And Bill Clinton wants more credit. Politico.com from September 30th. Bill Clinton thinks he deserves more. He was in Arkansas, I think, at the library and massage parlor, opening a new room in the massage parlor section. And he said he thinks he deserves more credit for reforming welfare and balancing the budget. He says, I tell you, I go crazy every time I read the conventional wisdom. Part of the Republican narrative out there is that I was saved for myself by the election of Republican Congress. It forced me to do welfare reform and made that balanced budget possible. I wasn't a softie. I cracked down on welfare, and I cracked down on spending, and I'm sick and tired. I'm not getting the credit I deserve. It's actually saying it. And I keep reading how this is a Republican idea. Just because President Reagan had a good story about a welfare queen in a Cadillac, it didn't exist. Yeah, well, your El Camino and the AstroTurf did exist. We remember that.
You know what's really going on. Rush Limbaugh on the EIB Network.
I want my Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for?
This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans think that illegals should head back home. We used to think so too, till we realized illegals could pay 21% interest on their credit cards, just like the gringos. Introducing the all-new Bank of Amigo card. The Bank of Amigo card is the best friend an undocumented worker ever had. Packed with special features like bonus points for every day you're in our country. Good towards health care, border crossings, college education, fake IDs, and so much more. And the Bank of Amigo card is the only card endorsed by Senator John McCain.
If you need cash and can't wait till mañana, then the Bank of Amigo card is for you. Plus, the more you owe, the less likely you are to be deported.
There's no immigration check, no social security number required. Just sign your name, or anybody else's, on the dotted line.
Caramba, it's easier than sneaking in. Thanks, Bank of Amigo.
The Bank of Amigo card, because when it comes to money, we're all amigos.
Snurdly's asking me about iOS 5, which is the new software operating system for the iPhone, iPad. Now, what's going to happen is, every time you plug your iPhone or iPad into an electrical outlet to charge it, it will automatically sync wirelessly over Wi-Fi with your iTunes on the computer that your device is mated to. So any apps or songs or whatever that you have bought on either device will show up on the other device. So if you've got a bunch of, well, here's another thing, iCloud. This is cool, called PhotoStream. You take a picture on your iPhone, and within 5 seconds, it's on your computer in iPhoto and on your iPad, and vice versa. So they're adding pictures to the way contacts, email addresses that sync. But software upgrades that you'll never have to connect to the iPad or iPhone to your computer ever again, as long as it's on a Wi-Fi network. And you can also sync it manually in the general preferences. There's a pane where you sync manually. You have to wait to plug it in if you don't want to, but it does it automatically every time you plug it in to charge it. And that's been out in beta. iCloud's going to be big too. Nobody's talking about that much, but that's going to be as big as the phone. Anyway, ladies, who's next? Brian, Gulf, Wait, Texas. Welcome to the EIB Network. Hi.
Hey, Rush. I just wanted to express my extreme thanks for helping me understand the area of politics a lot more. I started listening to your show probably about 3 months ago, and
3 months ago? Where you been for 23 years?
Well, actually, I'm 25, but
oh, okay. Well, that explains part of it.
I always just went with what my grandmother said because I was never really interested in politics.
What'd your grandmother say?
Well, she's extreme Democratic liberal, so.
But what did she say? What did she tell you not to listen or something?
Yeah, she always told me that you were a liar and not to listen to you. And yeah.
Your little old grandmother told you that I was a liar and that you shouldn't listen?
Yes. But,
well, you've been listening for 3 months now, so you obviously think your grandmother was wrong.
Yeah. I just talked to her the other day, and I realized exactly how brainwashed she is on the whole aspect of politics, because I asked her who she was voting for next year, and she said that she was voting for
yeah, I know. You know,
Obama.
It's just been in her family, and it was just handed down to her, probably their DNA and so forth. I'll get a project for you, Brian. Have her listen with you someday. Just start slow, half hour. Gradually add 5 minutes every day. You'll be up 3 hours before you know it, and you'll have a brand new relationship with your grandmother. Anyway, yeah, they're still warning in Massachusetts of these robocalls that were tied to identity theft. Where did I see this? Gosh, there's something brand new. There's a something in the. Oh, I wish I could remember this. In the computer world, a bunch of there's somebody has hacked certain companies on the web that keep your credit card ID secret. And I can't remember what it is, but they've caught it. They caught it in time, but some hackers are out. I mean, the effort to get hold of your identity, anything, your social security number, your credit card data is ongoing. And folks, the efforts increase and the success rate increase. There's no reason not to be protected, and you do that with LifeLock. Nobody's going to totally stop identity theft, but these people at LifeLock do it better than anybody else, and they do it so well that you're really not going to have any worries about it. Just call 1-800-LifeLock and mention my name and save 10% off of this, and then don't worry about any of this, because it is the way of the world now. Electronic purchasing with your credit card data. Keep it safe. LifeLock can do that. 1-800-LifeLock and the offer code RUSH.
Rush. Make a commitment on the EIB network.
I want my Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885?
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for?
This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
Obama's answering questions somewhere from the press. He said, I don't regret holding up Cylinder as a model. People felt it was a good bet. We have to keep encouraging clean energy companies. Encouraging them? You mean funding them under the table so the money comes back to you and to your donors. Taxpayer money is being used to make his donors whole. That's why he wants to keep it going. It's not that he's maybe a little bit of a slow learner. Anyway, back in 21 hours, folks. Be here. Don't go anywhere else.